Joy 99.7 FM.
It's a Monday here on Joy 99.7 FM. Hello and welcome to the Joysports track. It's the show where we try to look at what trended over the weekend, make sense of it, and try and forecast, look ahead to the coming week. And just as we're getting ready to come on air, there was a notification on social media. Kurt Okreku, former boss of the MTN FA Cup committee, put out his official statement that he wants to be putting his name in the hat to be GFA president. And it all goes into our discussion, which we wanted to do today here on the show, which is that on Thursday there will be the extraordinary congress of the Ghana Football Association, and that will be held at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. There, they'll be looking to tweak and then eventually ratify all the rules and the procedures that will be making it possible for us to have an election. It all follows the event of last year, June the 6th, when Anas put out his documentary, which ground Ghana football. We've been looking for the way forward since. Quickly though, what it means if we should have elections is that the tenure of the normalization committee will be over. That is the most important thing. If the elections are not conclusive by the end of Thursday at the extraordinary congress, then the normalization committee will continue working. So if the people who are in charge of football, or as they call them, the football people, want the normalization committee gone, they'd have to look at putting forward and closing all their arguments and making sure all their documentation is done. This is the Joysports track. We play that announcement by Kurt Okreku, and then we go on to discuss other issues relating to the impending Congress and elections.
Members of the football family, after a thorough process of deliberations, discussions, engagements, and consultations with the various stakeholders of our industry, I have decided to put myself forward to contest the leadership of the Ghana Football Association when the process officially opens. Colleagues, my conviction to contest the upcoming election was further enhanced during the period of consultations with the various stakeholders, which made it evident that the qualities I possess is exactly what our people have been yearning for as we strive to move our industry to the next level at this particular point in time. My ultimate aim, obviously, is to ensure that all key players in our industry get a fair share of the enormous global wealth of association football. That every person connected to the beautiful game reap their rightful dues for their unending efforts and enormous investments. I will, in the not too distant future, come out with my vision for Ghana football, the vision of creating wealth for all in our game. This will primarily see us embark on a quest to build a football association which is transparent-led and communication-friendly. This requires a leadership with a skill set and corporate governance mindset to drive a new image for the passion that holds this great country together. The time has come for us to make our football great again. Indeed, it is an unmissable opportunity for us to come together and entrust the leadership of our football into a competent and efficient hands. My name is Kurt Edwin Simeon Okraku.
Joy 99.7.
He says his name is Kurt Simeon Edwin Okreku. We know him as Kurt Okreku. So that was his official announcement put out just about 40 minutes ago on his official social media handles. I saw it on Twitter first. Benedict, you also saw it on Twitter first?
Yes, I did. Just when he posted it, I saw it a minute
later.
After he posted that official announcement. But I'm not too surprised.
Sure, we've known for a while.
Yeah, and especially when last week I had an interview with Albert Komi, who openly declared his support for Kurt and mentioned that if Kurt is going to announce, he definitely will back him, to go for the top job.
For me, Kurt, not because he's a brother, but the qualities that he has. The guy is not only having his master's from the University of Liverpool, the guy also has degree when it comes to the hospitality industry. He's also done a diploma in journalism. And he has all of that diverse background. At the age of 17, he was a club. 17. He was with me with Jawara for 10 years. So he's a man of many parts. Look at what he has done with Dreams. Look at his performances when they give the FA Cup product to him. And look at his performances when it comes to sponsorship and that kind of thing. The fun things are something when you obey, the industry is at a crossroad, and we need a personality like him to lead. I respect Farmer, I respect George, I respect Nanaya, but I must tell you that among those who have shown so far, I'll tell you, Ket stands up tall, and Ket has a lot of things. That is why I'll be very happy he comes out and for us to know his position when it comes to this contest.
Albert Kome is with Adriana Stars, and he's thrown his weight behind Keto Kreku. Expect more of such endorsements coming in for the various candidates. As we know, George Efrie long ago declared his candidature for this top job. It has not changed. He's seldom granted interviews, but in the last week he's been busy also laying the ground, making sure that the floor is ready for his second announcement, if you like, because the first one he did was many months ago, or it was just about 16 months ago before he was fired by Kwesi Nyantichi.
The announcement was made on his birthday.
On his birthday, his 50th birthday.
His 50th birthday.
Yeah.
Was at a party.
That
he made that announcement that he was going to contest, and that was long ago. So possibly maybe
he might just do a
second
reminder.
announcement.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that. But of course, he's been talking about it. That yes, he still wants to contest the GFA top job, and then Ket officially becomes the fourth person to have declared that after George was the first, and then Nana Yamponsan. Actually, we knew Nana Yamponsan way back, that he wanted to contest. He's been to this studio where he outlined some of the things that he would like to do if elected as a GFA president. That was even when former president Mr. Kwesi Nyantichi was around, when Nana Yamponsan declared his intentions to run for the top job. So first, we would have to acknowledge that was Nana Yao. I mean, based on the new guys around, it was Nanaya that announced his candidature first, and then George Efie was second, and then we had Fred Papu also. I think it was an interview he granted Ghana Web, mentioned that and he also granted you an interview and mentioned that he's very much interested in running for the top job, and now we have Keto Kweku. For me, Ket's a very formidable candidate, I mean, for this very role, and whoever is coming up against Ket, the number of people that we know, and we know very well that very soon Mr. Rufus Sekupama will also announce his candidature.
Sure.
So we are going to have these formidable men of football run for the presidency. And I think that's what we need. That's what we want to see going forward. These are guys that they have the track record. They've done it before. As Albert Kobe mentioned, Ket has been in football for a very long time. He talked about his, academic credentials, being at Liverpool, masters in football administration. We also what he's done with Dreams FC. He has modeled them to a perfect club that we all see now when people make reference to what they are doing to the other clubs. You can also look at what he did with the FA Cup, which Mr. Albert Komi mentioned. Before becoming the chairman, he was the vice to Alhaji MND Jawula. They did a fantastic job when the tournament was in abeyance for 10 years, got a sponsorship deal, and then came back and did a great job with that. So he's a very formidable candidate. You talk about someone like Fred Papu, I don't need to remind you the things that he has done as a vice president of the GFA for some time, led the Black Stars, to several tournaments.
But because Ket has just announced, I wanted to spend time on some of the things he said. He touched on the fact that we are at a crossroads, and we need somebody, who will be able to take us through, usher us through a period of transparency and all that. Immediately, I put his video up on my Facebook wall. The first was, who was he? You have outlined who Keto Kweku is. So, in case anybody was listening. The second, in fact, somebody in the studio, when I did mention it before, the program began, said, is he clean? And that's another comment I got on Facebook as well. I mean, from the integrity point of view, that is the biggest deficit our football is having in terms of leadership at the moment, trust of the people. People will not vote. It's not a general election. Are not going.
Football people.
Yes, it's the football people, but it's a position that is going to hold. It's a public trust. And without the support of the people, companies are not going to tap into that. They are not going to measure the trust of the people. They are not going to see it, and they won't put their money in there. is Kurt somebody who would stand the test if he stands in front of corporate Ghana? There.
Integrity is everything
Yeah.
in this sport. You look at how FIFA things, turned out very bad, and then Infantino came in. It was about the image. So I think that whoever comes in, the first thing to do is to get the image right. If that is right, FIFA lost most of their big deals. And after Infantino came, within the shortest possible time, all the top companies with others came on. And now see how they are flourishing. So I think that will be very critical for whoever comes in as the president. But to talk about whether Kurt is clean or not clean, of course, I mean that's not my job here.
Yeah,
to do.
but,
What normally
you
I
get my
know
question,
what happened
though.
here. I understand. What normally I know what happened is the election committee that will be set up by the normalization committee to vet and look at the men so far and whoever that will come in to contest this position. They will look at that. Albert Comey in a part of the interview mentioned that the integrity thing is subjective. That will not be based on the whatever maybe they want to do. It's just subjective. So he would not want them to look at that because they have to look at the football people. I mean, these are the people we know around. Yes, we've talked about 13 years ago, things were not done right. That's the view of others. But for them, they feel that these are the people around. I mean, they have been doing the football. They put their money in the football. And of course, if they've seen everything that have gone on in the last 2 or 3 years, and if they will come and take the position and still will go whichever line that made the public see them to be
whatever they are, yeah.
Then it is up to them. So of course, whoever comes in, the integrity thing is very good. They have to do it. They have to check all the candidates, whoever it is. They have to go through because that's very key and it's very important. We need someone who, when he presents himself out there, people will be able to relate to
and galvanize around
Exactly.
for us to get back. To what extent, though, can we say that now, because he has declared, we know that we are entering that week where we have the extraordinary Congress. To what extent, Benedict, can we say that the prospective candidates for the GFA job are going to meet opposition from the normalization committee's whatever procedures they are going to put forward? Now, the specific question I want to be careful, that's why I'm stuttering a bit, is that we know that, for example, we've heard they might want a master's to be the minimum requirement. Things like that. To what extent would the normalization committee, or should they, because we are also proffering solutions, should they go to stop certain people from getting this job?
Well, I believe football is for football people.
Yeah.
You understand? And of course, if someone like Alhaji Guisa wants to be the GFA president, if you put these things out, he definitely cannot be the GFA president. And he has said quite a number of times that you don't need a degree to, run football. It's just your knowledge of the game, your understanding of the game, and how you can put structures together to work. And I think that, yes, those were things that came out previously about the committee wanting to put together maybe a requirement of one having a master's before he can contest the GFA presidency, one having a first degree before he can get onto what they want to be board of directors, but the football people are saying no, executive committee, you understand? All these things I think are needed, okay? If that is going to be, if it is there, and they are going to, adopt, I think that there is nothing wrong with it. Because if you look at WAFU, West African Football Union, the presidency, there are requirements, educational requirements attached to it. So if the football people, football is for them, we are all stakeholders. If they want it that way, normalization committee, they have suggested that we do it this way. If they want it that way, I think fair enough. Because mind you, some of these guys, Kurt has a master's, Palmer has master's, Nanayao has master's, Fred Papu has masters. JJ Free also is, in terms of education, he's up there. So it's up to them to choose it. I mean, we can stand here and talk about, yes, they need this, they need that, but they have put it there. They've put it there. They've gone through the statutes, and I'm happy that the 7-member committee had to go through before Congress, which I understand they will present it to the entire football, fraternity before they go for Congress on Thursday. These are some of the things that we need. And if they will adopt, fair enough, go on.
All right, so George is also here with us. George, your initial thoughts on Keto Kriku, making it known. I mean, one of the biggest open secrets the biggest open secret in local football was that he was going to run. So yeah,
no surprise. It's good to see him come, and I encourage healthy competition. I want to see top level-headed guys come over and want to be elected into office. That is really good, very, very good. I was just staring. I was looking at Benedict. It was a very difficult question a bit when you spoke about integrity, because it's a big issue. And
who is going to stand the test of whatever integrity checks are going to be done?
It's such a murky area, and it'll be very difficult to draw the borderline. Very, very difficult to draw the borderline, because I think, like Albert Comey said, it's subjective. Because as we speak, the public, those who are not going to vote, have a certain perception about how things are done. They may want to go back to the internet or check out someone's name and see the kind of stories that come out. Mm-hmm. Those stories may be verified or not verified. Yeah. So the guys within the football circles who have the mandate to vote will be looking at things from a different angle. And I think those outside will also be looking at it from a different angle. But then you made another important point there, that after you become the Ghana Football Association president, you are going to be let out of the cage, and you are going to meet the corporate guys who are everyday guys anyway. Yeah. That's how confusing it becomes, because if football people had their money, then they could sponsor football and go ahead. But they still have to rely on the public. The public. So the public view. Today, if you spoke to any top CEO and you ask, would you want to sponsor the Ghana Premier League? The first thing, there will be Ghana Premier League. Hold on, I don't want my company to go down there, and so we need a perfect blend, a perfect mix, and it is going to be an interesting one. A very interesting one. It won't be easy at all. I don't think.
Now, politics has started. Time for us to dig our claws into the. Hello, Aminu. Hello. Good afternoon, Aminu Shadu.
Good afternoon, guys.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Okay. You sound a bit hollow. Are you using a speaker?
Is it better now?
Yes, it is better. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so your good friend Kedo Kreku has declared about an hour ago. Should I say at this juncture, is he your friend, or is he part of your campaign team? How should I address you?
Well, I'm the administrative manager of Green Safety, of which he happens to be an owner. So you could just say I'm an employee of him, because
you're an employee of his. Yes.
My check at the end of the month.
All right. So I don't know if you were listening to the analysis myself, Benedict and George have been subjecting his announcement to right now. We've been looking at it from several points, but mainly from the things he said himself in his video, where he was announcing that, putting himself forward as credible as the best person for the job. We know what Kurt has done, but the last bit I was asking George had to do with the integrity test and whether he was going to pass with flying colors. I know he's your man, but from where you stand, what do you think of the way the normalization committee or whatever elective bodies are going to put forward as the integrity checks for these prospective candidates?
Well, you see, I don't think there should be any cause for alarm at all relative to the integrity test, because everything that is going to be done by the elective committee, the election committee, or whatever body that will be mandated to, will be according to rules and regulations. You cannot do things subjectively. Integrity checks, the qualification for the position are spelled out. They are clearly defined. So, in this case where Kurt has declared and is the candidate, we've gone through that. We've realized that we've gone through the rules and regulations of the integrity test, and if it's not going to be subjective, and it's going to be as objective as the rules and regulations require, then I don't foresee us having any problems at all with that hurdle.
Let me interrogate that point now. You said you've gone through that. Am I supposing that you have looked at what is best practice elsewhere, maybe on the continent and at a global level, so CAF and FIFA integrity checks, what goes into them, and that is what you have used as a yardstick, anticipating that the NC will do the same as well?
It can't get any better than being the FIFA president. Gianni Infantino was subjected to integrity test. a lot of his officers who are in sensitive positions. Fatima Samura was subjected to it, where if there was even a claim of being related to Haji Diop and all that, conflict of interest were raised. All of them were quashed because on the face of the regulations itself, I mean, if you don't have anything concrete to come forward with, you can't just do conjecturing. You can't conjecture. You can't come with certain hypothetical hypotheses to disqualify a candidate or what have you. So far as it will be as objective as the rules and regulations require, there shouldn't be any problem at all.
Now, let me just give you a sense of what people out there. I mean, sometimes as journalists, our worldview is clouded by what we know, you know. But it's important, like George said, after we, the journalists or the immediate stakeholders, are done with it, we all have to go and face the general public. Exactly. So, should Kurt or anybody become GFA president, they will go and face the general public. And as you know, the trust of the general public in the football system and those who were part of the previous football system is not that great. Now, let me read a comment for you on my Facebook. Kofi Asamoah says, so the same old faces who collapse our football are the ones vying for the position. Gary, you and your media colleagues should speak out and ensure that we get credible people to run our football. These are questions that's not just Kurt, but any of the other people that we know for now are going to be facing from the general public. How does Kurt or indeed should the others deal with such cases? Because
the answer is very simple.
Yeah.
The answer is very, very simple. These are the same people who keep investing in the game. Until such a time, new people will take up the mantle to put in their life earnings and savings into the sport of football. These are the same kind of people who are going to run the game. It's very simple. I mean, you can't have anybody outside members of FIFA as expressed by the regulations or the status of FIFA coming to contest for the presidency. Insofar as you are investing in the game, you are putting your money in the game, you are related to the game, you are in and about, you are involved in the form as prescribed in the status. These are the same kind of people you are going to see. Unless, of course, the text is suggesting that we bring people who are not associated with the game in any form to come and run our football. I don't think that's what he's suggesting at all. So the answer is very, very simple. Insofar as these are the same people who keep putting their life on the line for the sport of football, keep putting their life savings into the sport of football, risk everything into the sport of football, these are the people who are going to lead our football.
I like your answer. Let me tell you why, Aminu. And this is a question that has been deliberated on for the past several months, because now that CAS has officially declared, I've never asked this question on this show before, but if the government, knowing that the people are going to appreciate football, we are going to ask the people to be going to the stadia. The people do not want the so-called football people who are handling football or the same names out there. Do you think it is possible that the government, because it is the biggest investor in football, and you know what I mean by that, can decide that people outside the football people, and they can force the regulations such that people outside the football people can come and take positions in the new GFA? Do you think it is possible?
Gary, you know very well the precise answer to this question. We know the role government has to play in association football. It's very defined. It's clearly defined in the cooperation agreement signed between the Ghana Football Association and then the government when the Yoko thing happened. I think back in 2011 or so.
2010, 2011.
It's very, very defined the role government has to play. Of course, as a responsible government, you have to be responsive to the aspirations of the people. You understand? And it includes the aspirations of people in this instance, the football people. You know, at the end of the day, it is these same football people who are going to elect their leader. You need to give them the independence that it's enshrined in the FIFA status and even the draft NC status that we are going to deal with at Congress on Thursday. The independence of the association is very, very paramount. The government cannot interfere, and it will be very, very prudent for government to stay away, as the release from the sports ministry indicated some few days ago. They'll stay clear. As for their role in football, it's always there. Nobody is going to begrudge them of playing their critical role in the game of football. But as far as elections are concerned, the independence of the DFE must be respected. And I don't believe that this government, as responsible as it is, will bother itself in meddling in the affairs of football relative to elections.
Excellent. Benedict has a question for you before you go.
Aminu, I'm just going through your documents, the 7-member committee, the documents, the draft statutes that you guys went through, and I'm looking at the eligibility for the chairman of the board of directors. Of course, that's the president. And point 4, which you have cancelled, must have first degree from a reputable university or 7 years working experience in sports administration or general business management. I'm just wondering, why do you cancel this? You don't think it's very important?
So, Benedict, even at FIFA level, you can't get more corporate than the FIFA level. The qualification for being to head a football association, even at FIFA, even the Republic of Ghana, are trying to tell me that we are looking for more qualified people to run our football than people to run the whole nation, Ghana. I mean, I think these are very, very draconian proposals being put in place by the normalization committee, and we as football people, knowing very well the peculiar needs and aspirations of football people, obviously we are going to kick against this. Football shouldn't be about who has gone to a formal institution called a school or a university. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about the person's passion, the person's knowledge, experience, and the interest of the person to be involved with the game. It shouldn't be about formal education. Otherwise, if you do,
I mean, you just said knowledge.
Yes.
You see,
and it can't just
this is 2019. I mean,
knowledge is not only picked up in the formal.
It's not just classroom education. However,
of course, you would have to get somebody who at least is able to express himself in the formal languages. We agree to that so that he'll be able to communicate effectively. You have to get somebody who is very, very articulate on issues with a clear vision and all that. But these things are not necessarily picked up from formal institutions called a school or a university. You know very well. So, I mean, if you look at the FIFA regulations on requirements and requirements or the eligibility criteria to run for certain offices, clearly formal education to that level is not part of it at all. In fact, even in Ghana, in the constitution of Ghana, to become president, you need not even step into a classroom to become president. The requirements are very clear. So I find it very, very strange.
Okay, Aminu, how about the CEO, the general secretary? Of course, you don't like the CEO, so you've cancelled it.
We realize that the things that are critical to football, the things that we saw in the announced video, or we felt in the announced video, brought football to this news, was not about titles, the nomenclature of a title. Be it general secretary or be it the CEO. That's not the importance. That's not the critical things that our football needs. It is not being named CEO that will change our football to what it will be. So we felt that it's an unnecessary attempt to change titles. It's all about giving clear functions. We need to strengthen.
But I mean, not to cut you. I mean, you don't think that if things have been destroyed and we are trying to repair, of course, I mean, we can bring in all these things. Not specifically focusing on what happened previously.
If you are trying to repair, you don't go demolishing things that don't need repairs in the first place. You don't need to break before you build. You don't need to do that.
I mean, maybe previously was an oversight, was something that we're not doing, and now we have the opportunity. So if you are trying to sort everything out, why don't you do everything?
No. So you need to identify certain areas, and the areas are very, very clear. It's about the overreaching powers of the president. There was no term limit as required by FIFA. They are very, very clear. I mean, these things are very, very obvious. The things that we need to do to get our football back on track has nothing to do with the title of the general secretary. We find it very, very relevant, and that's why we are proposing very strongly that we maintain the status quo.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Aminu Shade. We appreciate your time, and good luck to your candidate.
Thank you very much,
So Aminu Shado is administrative manager of Dreams FC, which, as you know, is owned by Keto Kreku, and so automatically, I mean, he's going to be in that camp as well.
Yeah, but Gary, before we move on from this, we have to, add that the NC, they don't have the power to disqualify any candidate. Their power is in the transitional provisions, and we have to, be clear.
All right, so I want us to take a step back, because at points during the interview with Aminu, we made references to some things that may not be very clear to listeners. I mean, on the Joysports link, they went into detail. I mean, it was here, they went into detail into some of these things. But so what we are talking about is, on Thursday, there's going to be an extraordinary congress of the Ghana Football Association, and there, some rules are going to be made official, right? The entire time after the announced video has seen the normalization committee try to right the wrongs of the past 13 years. And as Aminu said in the tail end of his interview right now, there were certain key areas that we all agree needed to be fixed. A, the overreaching powers of the GFA president, as we saw in the Nyantechi era. We also saw the term limits, which were changed, and so they should be brought back, and so on and so forth. So some of these key recommendations were put by the various committees that were put forward by the normalization committee, and they were supposed to be worked on by the extraordinary congress. Now, the football people took these rules that were changed and further cancelled some of them out, which is what Benedict was talking about. One of them was the point 4, which is Benedict is speaking of, that the educational qualification and so on and so forth. So all these amendments that they have made to that 50-something page document is what they are going to discuss on Thursday at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. So that is what the Extraordinary Congress is going to be about on Thursday. So just as a point of education, that is what it is.
So it's not an election.
It's not an election.
It's not an election.
What is happening
it's only
on
to
Thursday,
pave way for an election.
Yes, so it's going to pave way. That is why Kurt in his video said he's putting himself forward for all the processes leading to the elections, because that's why he has put out his notice today, because he knows that in this week some people may need him, and other candidates to confirm or deny or whatever procedures, and so he's putting himself forward, and that's why he has strategically put himself out at this time.
So just to add to that,
yeah, sure.
There's no elections at all.
No, it's not.
And one thing we should also know is, if the statutes are not adopted, there will be no election.
Excellent.
You understand? So we have to make that clear as well. So maybe
if Thursday doesn't happen, we can't have elections.
So let's say maybe if you are somewhere and you hear that, okay, the GFA they are going for Congress and that we are going to have elections. No, please hold on. We are not there yet. I mean, after this, the first one will be the election if they adopt the statutes, and then will be the election for the regional bodies, that's the RFAs, and then we'll come to the constituent bodies. So the board of directors, that's the executive committee, and I still want
use the two.
I want to use the two. The board of directors or the executive committee.
Ben, let's take a step back. Who is suggesting that what should be called a board of directors?
So normalization committee
is suggesting that
we should have a board of directors, which will not be the same as that of the old executive committee.
Okay.
The number and the name.
Okay.
So I hope you understand.
Sure.
And they want the president to be chairman.
So instead of the president of the GFA, they want us to revert to what we used to have. So a chairman of the board of directors.
But football people are saying
they don't want that. They still want president.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we just have to make that point clear. The elections for the GFA president is not now.
Yeah.
They must first adopt the statute, after which we'll go. If they do this Thursday, then we'll go through with that of the RFA elections, and then the constituent bodies,
RFA, the Regional Football Association,
the constituent bodies, before we'll come to the executive committee and that of the board.
All right.
Chairman
so right now
president.
we have seen people declaring their intent to be GFA president. On Thursday, the statutes that the normalization committee put forward and have been amended by the football people will be put to the final test on Thursday. Everything will be put forward, and then we have the official rules and regulations for the elections. Now, after that, we go for the RFA elections first.
Yeah.
Okay, and when will that start? Do you know?
No.
Do we know?
So we need a clear map. Are you free to talk about the election roadmap?
I think what they will do is
they will set
a date.
So they will now put a roadmap forward.
The first thing is they must just adopt
a statute.
And the rest of it.
And fortunately, they set up a committee
to
look at everything that they will do. So unlike, let's take the statutes to Congress for us to start talking about it. They thought it wise that I'm talking about the football family.
Yeah.
They thought it wise that
at a separate meeting they've done it already.
Let's form a 7-member committee. Do this,
which is sensible, I think.
Of course,
which is very good.
Yeah,
which is very good.
It saves all of us
time, the fighting, the bickering.
Exactly. So now what they have to do, and that was the sense I got from Aminu today, that they will meet with them. they were 7-member teams, so
Sure.
they have to report to the large
Football community.
to let them know, okay, this and this is what we have done. So this is for us. We are going there. We are presenting it to the normalization committee as against their draft statute, to FIFA. And if we all agree, and normalization committee they agree, they also agree, then we adopt the statutes and then the procedure.
Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense to me. So that is essentially the roadmap to the new GFA that we are talking about. We've just outlined it.
I'm as much pity the normalization committee in this situation. Even though the normalization committee will say that, we've gone to FIFA and all of that, it really comes down to what the clubs want. And now that they are beginning to have an organized front, now they have...
You are seeing their power.
Yeah, you see their power. And so they would have a very, very big say, because their organization alone will be intimidating enough, and normalization committee will not have so many options, because they are on the ground and they understand why they have. And not to make them look bad, the normalization committee have not really looked like they have all the ideas, right, and they have their bearings. So I think we should have a very straightforward Congress.
Okay, so this is Joy 99.7 FM. We are still here on the Joysports track. We spent 48 minutes, speaking about the
Extraordinary Congress.
Yeah, we are going to talk about it anyway, but Keto gave us a good platform on which to launch that topic on by declaring about an hour ago his intent to be GFA president at the end of the day. Now, George brought something in the last bit of his when he said the normalization committee's gears are not in sync.
They're not in sync.
Because this morning we heard that Dan Kwekuyeboah has, he has resigned.
Yeah.
I mean, he made it official himself because we heard him on, his own station, Peace FM, OK FM, where he complained bitterly about the normalization committee and how they've not, they are not seeming to be doing the work well. So Dan Kwekuyeboah officially is no more the spokesperson for the NC. We heard what he said. He complained that they are not organized, they are directionless. I mean, he's a colleague of ours, but because he was in an official capacity, I think we have the right to talk about it.
Yes,
George,
we do.
What were your thoughts on his complaints, the timing, first of all, of his complaints? Because he served for 11 months.
Yes.
I mean, as one website put it, he enjoyed the largesse, $11,000. He could have stopped at any time because the signs from the normalization committee were not good for a long time.
There's palpable discord.
Yeah, palpable discord. I mean,
clearly
in the Chelsea language.
Yeah.
When Mike Emelalo was leaving, they said he had palpable discord.
Yes, there was.
What do you think of the timing of his message and his deal?
It's rather interesting, because I thought you don't wait till the party's almost over before you say you didn't agree with a lot of things.
Is the party over?
It's almost over. Once you're having Congress, extraordinary Congress, and then what the football people failed to do in the past, they are doing now. They're organizing themselves and coming to you and say that this is what we believe. I think it's almost over. Very disappointing, because I thought that everything was clear from the start, when the communication lines were very broken.
Sure.
And we could see that some very honorable members even suffered that, coming out to say something the next moment they said do not say. You could realize that there were issues in there. He believed that he believed that he could push and change the system after the Africa Cup of Nations, and before the Africa Cup of Nations I said the Africa Cup of Nations was probably the only thing that could save their faces, and once it didn't work out, it happened to be the West Africa Cup of Nations, the criticisms were going to rise, and they have not been able to manage themselves well, because the truth is we didn't get that sense of direction, that this was a team or a body that knew where they were going. Those who realized this early decided to resign, and it just came in out there. I hope Dan is able to continue doing his job. I mean, now he's out of the official position, but it really hurt him on so many grounds in the way it went, and how it's done.
Going to have the legitimacy he once had.
It's going to be
remain to be seen.
Very, very, very difficult. I hope he can find a way around this, but clearly the normalization committee, you look at the kind of goodwill they had at the start of the football, I don't even know what I should call it, reformation process. I don't know what I should call it, because
reformation process.
Not a lot, not a lot had, because they had enough time to go straight to the point and get the things done. It's just in the latter days that they started talking about statutes and trying to push things. So it's not been a good run. I don't think a normalization committee should be excited about the work that was done. No. Ghanaians expected much more from the team, and if they are now coming out to do the assessment and say it was pretty poor, because then we've had close to about 3 or 4 guys coming out of the normalization committee saying that
They are leaving.
this is not working out there.
How many have left? I mean,
Lucy Quist left. Dua Donting had issues. Dan Kweku Yeboah is gone, and and so it just tells us the story really, and it's been difficult because when Dr. Kofi Amoah is out on a platform where he could use to talk about the normalization committee, he talks about some business and company issue. It tells you that they are not ready to come out and tell us. But so far as we are concerned, there's not been enough leadership and direction for the normalization committee.
So Dan is right.
Dan is right to have left.
No.
Dan is right in his assessment of
yes.
Dan is right in his assessment of the job they have done.
Yeah.
I'm only wondering why he decided to leave at this time. Yeah, because clearly, all the way. Nkoye. No, Nkoye. I mean, because I mean, come on, this special competition stuff, how they wanted to go about it. Clubs wanted things to be done this way. They wanted this. You could realize that there was just a feeling of whoever was deeply in charge of taking decisions at the normalization committee did not really care about the second opinion. And that's how come they crashed on so many corners. They didn't care about the second opinion. And second opinion, I mean, the normalization committee had the opportunity to still work with some GFA staff, of the old GFA staff, let me say that. And so you had every opportunity to learn from, to get advice so that you were right in there. Because we didn't have people who were through and through football people, as to say. And coming close to football, I can tell you that football is a different country on its own. It has its own rules. So you cannot just come from corporate Ghana and sit in there and think that you can get everything right. That's why you had people at the GFA to help you. Or you had experienced heads around, people who have done this for years, like Fred Papo and all the guys. So you could talk to them and get it. You couldn't get some things wrong in some of the proposals that they made. Absolutely, absolutely poor in some of the things that they put up there. And they say FIFA had agreed some of the things in the statutes. But since it's between the normalization committee and FIFA, we don't know whether FIFA has accepted it or hasn't accepted it. It's interesting, some of the things that have gone out there. And I'm very happy the football people are putting things right where it's supposed to be. We need to see more of the organization from them. We need to see them step. And especially Hassan Kotoko need to push this all the way.
5 minutes to go. And we are done with that. Now let's finish with some boxing, yeah? Because we do know that
Joy 99.7 FM.
Isaac Dogbe has been in the news. Benedict, you want to approach the bench now? In the last couple of days.
Don't even know why he went back in the
talk
about normalization, I'm there.
In the last couple of days.
What's his mark for normalization committee? Over 100?
Over 100.
Yeah.
Over 100, my mark.
Yeah.
Charlie,
this is below 50. Well, I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's below 50.
Hold on.
At least they were given what? Terms of reference were 3 day-to-day administration of the FA. Draft statutes, which they've done. Day-to-day administration of the FA, which they did and they are still doing. And which other one? The last one was to see
elections,
of course, which they will do.
Yeah.
So on the basis of that, I'll give them 70 over. That's a pass mark. The statutes are there. No.
But so you see, if Benedict is going, Benedict,
it's not like as if they haven't done
no problems. Yeah, I mean that's why I didn't give them 0.
No, you cannot give them.
That's why I didn't give them 0. Okay, Benedict, I'm saying that
you cannot give them.
Yes.
40,
okay. Yeah. So
the statutes are there.
I agree.
They've pushed the football people to do something.
Okay.
You understand?
The football people are going to do something anyway.
But you know the argument
when they found themselves, they were going to do something anyway. Let me show you. Like Gary, he went through the terms of reference.
Yeah.
I'm giving them
in awarding. Yeah, Benedict.
What they've done.
It's amazing.
Yes.
Now you know what? It's
also giving marks.
Yeah, I'm saying. You see.
I've not gone into the terms of reference. I'm just on the basis of.
Yeah, but the terms of
do so
yes,
which they have done.
Because you see, in solving the maths question. Benedict, you know what? In solving the maths question, you know, it's important that the processes are
working.
It's show working, and there was a lot of deviation along the line, and that's the problem. And there were so many attempts to want to put things right. And it was so poor. Like
if you have time,
we have time. Because I won't score normalization 50%, even 50%. No,
2 minutes. If you tell me to go through the terms of reference,
it's not enough. You want 1 hour.
You see, but
there's no way I can even use 30 seconds or 1 minute to go through. I will not be fair to them.
Okay, Ben.
If you want me to go through the draft,
okay, give me not the status, a summary of in your mind. If you are standing here right now, how over 100.
100.
That's what I'm saying.
No. Don't talk plenty.
I'll give them 70.
All things considered, 70.
Including the deviation and all of that.
Everything, the time they used to do the work.
That's what I'm saying. That before
All
I
things
do my
extensions.
mark- No, I'm an examiner. Right?
Yeah.
Corn and
And
everything.
if I'm marking your script,
Yeah.
I have to go
So
through.
you give them 70 over 100.
No.
Okay.
No. On the basis of just looking at the script.
Yeah.
Why are you just
That's
looking?
all.
Give them
when
all.
the
No,
time
just
they go.
Yeah, of course. On the basis just looking at the script.
Benedict is below 50.
The
you know that.
arrangement, you've done the arrangement, you've done everything. Oh, this is a good student.
All things
So
considered,
this, in my
Benedict,
mind,
how
I'm coming.
much will you
No,
give them?
let me just.
But you see,
in my
we-
mind, I'm giving you.
No,
70.
we don't want you
But
to
when
explain.
I go inside, when I go into it and I read, and that's
See,
what I'm
George,
saying,
George, leave him,
going
leave him.
inside the
Uh-huh.
documents and everything that they've done. That's what we don't have time to discuss now.
No.
Gary, just one point. Just one point. And this point is why I subtract 30 points from what Benedict
them
has
40.
and give them 40.
40.
Just because of transparency. Because one of the cries of Ghanaians were, let's know what's happening. Let's know what's happening.
Yeah.
When the normalization committee took over, we knew nothing that was happening.
Yeah.
Tell me anything that was made open in terms
Anyway,
of
George,
how much money was spent.
Thank
and
you. We
everything.
wanted to do as a Dugbe, but we'll do that later.
Friday.
It's essentially the
But
story.
Friday.
No, Friday, first day, we
First
have
day.
to look into the normalization.
Yes, we would.
Yeah, we will.
We would.
Terms of reference, and there I'll
You
give
will.
you my mark.
Your mark. So essentially, there's a Dugbe thing which we'll be doing on our subsequent
Yeah.
bulletins. Is that he has switched camp. We all heralded the news that he was going to be trained by Freddie Roach,
Freddie Roach, yeah.
but that is not
Now he's
happening
opted
anymore.
To join,
He's
what's the name of the other
James
guy?
Is it Tony?
Tony.
Yes, yeah.
James
He's-
Tony.
Okay.
Apparently, Freddie Roach and Isaac Dugbe's camp realized that they were not a good fit for each other. And so, they are not going to work together.
we'll keep
But
it
we'll
there.
do that later.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time. Today, we've done some football politics hardcore. Expect more from us this week and a few announcements for something that's happening on Thursday. This is the Joysports track. I'm Gary Alsmith. Many thanks to Benedict Tosu and George Added Jr. We are back, hopefully, next week.